Hi everybody, I'm Kirti Sharma and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about Emily in Paris. So this is a web series that's back in the news because of its Golden Globe nominations. And to tell you the truth, they caught me by surprise. I definitely didn't think that this show was going to get those noms.
I do not agree to calling you La Plouc.
But since it did, I figured, let's talk about it. If I'm being perfectly honest, when this show came up on my Netflix queue, I think back in October, it didn't catch my attention. I didn't feel like it was something I really needed to watch or, jump into right away.
I'm sorry if I offended you.
I think at that time I was watching the Narcos series, all of the seasons of Narcos, and then I jumped right into Narcos Mexico, and I watched that. And then after that, I was like, okay, I need a break. Like that's a lot of heaviness to watch straight. And it was around that time where all these articles started coming out of nowhere. Either people really loved Emily in Paris or they really hated it. And it was like, there seemed to be no common ground. I started hearing words like vapid and stereotypical and shallow. And so I was like, okay, maybe I should watch it just to see what the fuss is about. And ironically, it's supposed to be this easygoing tale about this girl, Lily Collins, who for one reason or the other goes to France, Paris, to work with a company to help them with their branding and their marketing using American viewpoint or vantage. And so that was basically the story about how she adjusts to life there and to working there and what it's like. So it's not a complicated storyline. It's like a rom-com, rom-coms are supposed to be easy to watch, and which it was. I actually found myself binge watching it, The episodes weren't that long. The season wasn't that long, or at least it didn't feel like it. Once you turn it on, you were just watching. Now, that's not to say that the show was engaging. Like I said, it's a rom-com. You kind of can turn off your brain and watch it.
I think you have an amazing, sexy product that could practically induce pregnancy in older women.
And I would highly recommend that you turn off your brain and watch it, because if you're one of those people who like to have, learn something or like something that evokes emotion, strong emotion from the type of work you watch. This isn't one of those, okay? This is not supposed to be one of those, that's not what the show is about. So it's unfortunate, I think, that people started just bashing the show and what it stood for. The show caters to, I think, a wide crowd. You don't have to be a rom-com lover to like this show. It has travel in it. It kind of takes you on a journey to discover the city Paris. Now, I've never been to Paris, but I want to go. And this showed me some of the most beautiful visuals of the city.
Oh my God, I feel like Nicole Kidman in Moulin Rouge.
It showed me the food, the fashion. So it's, I think it was worth it just to see that, Problem, I think, with the show that people have kind of pointed out is the stereotypes it relies on. Now, every show has stereotypes. That's not the issue. I think the big issue here is that it kind of relies on these stereotypes as a crutch. And it uses that to, step forward into the next episode and then to the next episode and all the way up until the finale. And stereotypes, I guess, are just that. They depict a group of people in a certain way, and it doesn't care for nuances. Like I said, this is supposed to be like a comedy, not to take it so seriously. And not everything has to be a think piece, and this is not a think piece, like I said. But some of the stereotypes that it's littered in this show, for one, it kind of shows that the French people are a little stuck up.
Oh my God, you are a snob.
They appear to be very classy, high fashion, heavy drinkers, heavy smokers. They like to have mysterious romances, illicit affairs. They don't care about punctuality. There's a little sexism in the workspace.
Since you're a professor of science, I'm sure you won't have any trouble recognizing this one.
Right? So these are some of the things that was littered into the storyline. And I can obviously understand the negativity surrounding that, especially if you are French or Parisian and you watch this show, right? It's stereotypical. I guess this showed, this is a show from an American perspective, specifically this girl, Lily Collins' perspective, right? Emily's perspective. So how she thought of everything happening around her, right? So you have to take it with a grain of salt, right? I mean, some of it is funny, but I definitely can understand where the strong opinions can come from that.
Really? You think Antoine's wife knows about his affair with Sylvie? Of course.
One other thing that, was stereotypical was there were a lot of berets in the fashion, right? Emily was always wearing a beret because that's the stereotypical image we have. Like, that cartoon, I don't know, what was that cartoon called? Was it Emily? Like, it was based in Paris and she went to a private school, I think. It was a cartoon. I don't know. Okay, for some reason, like, this image popped into my head and I'm not sure what it was called. I don't know. Anyways, so like berets and baguettes, right? And that's what it was about. And croissants, right? When you go to Paris, what do you want? As an American, you want to try the croissants. So there was a lot of that. And like I said, that was just Emily experiencing a new world, a new country, a new way of life. So some of that, is forgivable. For the American perspective, though, or the perspective of the French in the show had towards Emily and Americans was that they're uncultured, they're not classy at all, they're very arrogant, they only want things done their way, they don't want to incorporate new things and ideas into their life, right?
Oh. You guys just kiss so much here.
They travel to other countries, but they can't, and even some, end up staying there, but they can't take like the American, right, out of them, which I don't think people necessarily have to do no matter where you're from. You want to try to hold on to your roots a little bit, but I definitely think that you have to adjust your lifestyle or behaviors or thought patterns a little to, the surroundings you're a part of.
First, let me apologize for speaking English.
No, Patricia doesn't speak English.
Some of the drawbacks, I guess you can say, in addition to the stereotypes, is that everything is surface level in this show. I mean, I guess that's expected with a rom-com, right? How deep can you get? But it literally is surface level. Even the stereotypes are surface level. They're just for the kicks, for the fun, there's no heavy emotion. There's no like serious drama. It's just little things happening. And with that, it seems like Emily has a quick fix for everything. Like any problem that occurs, any drama that's about to unleash, like Emily can curb it. Right? All Emily has to do is pipe up, raise her voice, and let her opinions through, and magically, everyone loves it. Or even if you don't love it, you start begrudgingly admitting, like, oh, okay, it works. Now, in the real world, I don't think it's that easy to just land up in another office in another country and take over like that.
I have some ideas about marketing Delors that I would like to share with you.
Delors.
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 And I'm not saying that Emily took over, but it was remarkable how easily, she was able to convince these people to do things her way or see things from her perspective. Another, I think, drawback, not a drawback per se, but, Emily is not a fashion designer. She's not in the fashion world, but yet she wears like crazy expensive outfits. She's always put together. It looks like she's coming out of a catalog, I guess when in France do as the Parisians do, right? I guess that's what it's going on here. But it's like, where does she get all this fashion from? Where does she have all this money from? Or, she's living in not exactly the most expensive apartment, the most luxurious apartment, So where does she have this money to buy all this new stuff from, right? Another drawback I thought was Emily's character in general. She's very... she can be obnoxious, it's all about her. It's all about what she wants. It's all about what she thinks. And I guess she's the main character, so we kind of have to go on this journey with her. But it's kind of annoying how she takes everything for granted. Like she is at another country, you know, she's working in a company where English is not the first language, obviously, right? They know English and they're comfortable speaking English, but French is their language, and she kind of just brushes that aside, and she makes fun of the fact that she doesn't know French, and she doesn't really make an attempt to learn it, you know? She also doesn't understand that you can't just go to Paris or any city in any country for that matter and just start throwing things on them like, this is how you need to do it, this is how America does it, and you needed me, that's why I'm here to give you that American perspective. Like, what? They don't want that American perspective.
Excuse me, but the French are masters of social media.
True. But Americans invented it.
And if they need it, fine. How about you litter some of the American perspective with the French way of life, right? And I think that would have made the show more relatable, showing that, hey, she's making an effort to bridge the gap between the Parisian way of life or thinking with the American way of life and thinking. And I think that's more realistic. Obviously, you're going to ruffle a few feathers if you go and strut yourself and diminish the other person's point of view. And I don't think she intentionally does that, but her character doesn't show that much growth. Like from episode 1 to the season finale, there isn't that much growth in the character itself. I think she just gets a pass, you know? Like, this is Emily, and this is what she's here to do, and she's a social media influencer, and she's gonna go around Paris clicking pictures, and, you know, there you have it. So I think that was a little bit of a problem. Now let's get to the positives. I think one of the biggest positives is the city of Paris itself. Like I said, it was very beautiful to see the landmarks that, you know, you've heard of. They're around you. She's experiencing it as a tourist. You could kind of place yourself into that, you know, the picturesque frames, the architecture, the flowers, the lakes, you know, the Eiffel Tower. And then obviously, you know, you hear about the food scene in Paris. Now, I particularly want to go and have, you know, the croissants and the baguettes, so the stereotypical stuff. But I also am dying to have like the desserts there, like the sweets, you know, and the wine. So, you know, so basically the touristy things that are cliche is kind of what I want to do there, you know. Also, the fashion was nice. Obviously, something to aspire to if you're into fashion. You get to see some of that. If you wore that in your everyday life over here in America, people probably look at you differently. But then, you know, it's a way of standing out, so that's always a good thing too. I think the feminism was nice in this show. Emily doesn't rely on her boyfriend, you know, or anybody. She just picks up her bags and moves, you know, because her career called for it. And I think that's a good thing. I mean, obviously she talked to her boyfriend, and her boyfriend kind of agreed that, you know, she would go and then he would come visit. And even when that relationship goes kaput, you know, she doesn't let it, you know, hold her back. She just puts her head down and keeps going.
And you, visiting from the States?
I live here now. Wow, I just heard myself say that out loud, and I don't even believe me.
And then it also, you know, just her work environment, you know, it wasn't welcoming. People don't like her, but, you know, she keeps going. She becomes more and more friendly with her coworkers, and it's good to see some of that friendship coming out. So I think that's good. And also just the company is run by a female as well. So that was nice to see. She was played by Philippine Leroy, and the character's name was Sylvie. She was also a strong character. You know, she's the boss. She knows what she wants, and she doesn't need some newcomer to come and tell her what to do.
Can I say how amazing that was?
You were a total badass, not taking anybody's bullshit. I'm truly in awe.
So I think that was nice to see. It was good to see two strong female characters in the show. I think another positive was some of the diversity. You know, there were gay characters at the office. There were people of color at the office. One of Emily's best friends that's in Paris ends up being an Asian.
Yeah, just make sure to never order the riz de veau.
What's that? Rice with veal?
No, see, that's what I thought. I think it's brains or balls, but it tastes like ass.
So, you know, there was diversity in play, and I think that's always nice when you can make a show reminiscent of the world around you. You know, there's a lot of different people from all walks of life around you, and I think that's good to see. You know, representation matters, no matter how cliche that sounds, how boring it sounds. You know, it matters, especially for people to be able to see themselves in what they're watching. You know, there is power in being able to picture yourself in these situations because it gives voice to who you are and the life you're living as an individual, and I think that's really nice. Yeah, so social media is also a big theme in this show. She unknowingly becomes like an influencer, and it kind of, you know, mimics what society and life is like now. You know, you go onto Instagram, there's influencers all over the place. A lot of people live their life taking that picture, or that perfect picture, striking that perfect pose, you know, taking that picture 100 times behind the scenes, but for you, that's that one capture and that's all you see, you know? So I think the reliance on social media and even the company's branding and social media presence was talked about a lot. And I think that's really important for any company in today's age. A lot of people get their view from, you know, these influencers. If the person they follow likes a company, likes a brand, or supports a topic, their followers are at least going to become interested in it. If not, you know, mimic their influencers, you know, choices. So I think that's a big thing. I think a lot of companies are contending with that. You don't even need that much of a TV presence anymore with commercials. You don't need those billboards anymore, right? You don't need those magazine and newspaper ads anymore. All you need is a social media presence. And that just shows you the power of the internet, right? And social media. So I think that was really nice to watch. The fact that this show, like I said, picked up those Golden Globe noms was surprising for me.
No wonder they hate you.
Oh, not just this. They disagree with everything I say.
That's the French way. They're very disagreeable.
The two were Lily Collins for Best Actress in a Comedy or Musical, and then the show itself, Emily in Paris, picked up a nomination for the Best Comedy or Musical Series. Yeah, I guess I didn't watch any other comedies from this past year. Oh, obviously I watched Schitt's Creek.
Didn't you once take the wrong baby home from preschool?
Alexis looked Chinese as an infant. How many times must I defend myself?
And I watched the whole entire series just in like a month's time. Yeah, so I watched that. And in my opinion, obviously that one is way better. But would I recommend this show to others to watch? Yes. Is it like one of those shows that you have to watch, and if you're not watching it, you know, you're missing something from your life? No. But like I said, there's a lot of seriousness in a lot of these shows these days, and this one provides a good way out. You can turn off your brain, you know, you don't have to stress about it. You don't have to pay attention to every single dialogue and detail to keep track of the storyline, you know. You can just watch it for what it is. You sit back and grab a bag of popcorn, and you can literally finish the show in the evening, you know, or in the afternoon. Like, it kind of just goes, you know. It's pretty fast paced. It keeps going. You know, there are some laughs. Like, I did laugh at a few places.
I am très excitée to be here.
Excité? Really?
Excité does not mean excited. It means horny.
The characters are out there, and I think they're supposed to be out there to, you know, stand out. There's some really pretty and good-looking characters in this show. So yeah, they wear nice clothes. They eat at nice restaurants. You know, what else, I guess, do you want from rom-com, right? So yeah. That's pretty much my take. Let me know what you think. Did you watch Emily in Paris? Were you expecting the nominations? Do you think they'll win their category or not? What did you think about Lily Collins and her character of Emily? Did you agree with the Parisian perspective or the American perspective, or do you think that's like irrelevant? I liked both sides, you know. It was fun to see how she experienced Paris and how Parisians experienced her. But like I said, I think a little more effort could have been made into the storyline of actually showing the struggle she has, you know. Yes, she doesn't have the most friendly equation with her coworkers starting off, But even right off the bat, she makes these big, strides in marketing and branding. And it's like, okay, so she didn't have to test the waters or anything. How does she have a solution for everything? She's like, Inspector Gadget, like something goes wrong and she just opens up her coat and he's like, oh, this will help with this, or this will help with that. So I think that's kind of unrealistic, but we're living in an unrealistic world in Emily in Paris, and what do you expect, right? There's not going to be that much realism, okay? So that's it for me, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think, okay? And I'll see you next time. Bye!